Hey friends, it's UrsulasRevenge, and we have an extra special, extra video today because a new blog post released and I actually really want to talk about it. For the last couple months, the blog posts haven't really been anything to truly write home about. It's mostly been about horse updates and progress behind the scenes for like the winter event. And in January, we had a little bit of sneak peeks from the CEO Johan, but nothing too definitive. Today, however, is a spoiler to the year ahead. And it's lengthy, so let's break it down into little bite-sized chunks. This part of the article is written by game director Stacey Place, and she starts off by defining the work structure that they use for their Wednesday updates. She says, this year we are focusing on two types of projects, fixed deadline and soft deadline. The fixed deadline projects are the ones that have a hard deadline that they will do their best to meet that deadline so it doesn't get delayed. These fixed deadline projects include course releases, bazaars, Trailblazer Tracks, festivals, and more. Soft deadline projects are ones worked in parallel with the fixed deadline projects. These ones are ones that don't need to necessarily come out on a specific date, so the team will work on them and then release them once they're actually ready. She goes on to explain that this is to help our development team balance the complexities of game development, particularly our setup of delivering something every week. And because of these soft deadline projects being released when they're ready, this means that we won't have a huge update every week, and the team is not scrambling to release something before it's ready. More complex or unknown projects will take the time they need, and we can release them anywhere we see fit throughout the year. So while we as players see smaller updates throughout the year, that doesn't mean that things aren't being worked on. It just means that the team is given the time that they need to actually complete them, which is a good thing. At the very end of the article, this is actually explained a little bit better. But essentially, this change is not just for the health of the game, but it's also for the health of the development team. They have to prioritize projects, especially when multiple teams are involved. Because maybe the game designers have time to work on a part of the project, but the UI and UX designers are busy with another priority. So the time has to be right between the teams to also collaborate on these projects. And this part hits a little too close to home, but the fact that the game directors are also considering if the producers are making too many projects currently, I wish I had that in my job. Not to make it too personal, but currently in my job, we have too many projects and we keep telling them that they need to slow down, that we don't have enough people and don't have enough time to work on all these projects. And by the time that they need them, and they seem to not care because they just keep giving us more and more and more and more projects. So, and that's honestly affecting the health of our team. So the fact that they are also considering that means that maybe it was also brought up internally that they need to consider that. So, I mean, that's just me from a business perspective, just kind of seeing that and empathizing. Maybe it didn't actually get to that point, but I'm basically just trying to say here that it seems like they're actually internally in a good place where they've taken these steps to really look at their production schedule, really take a look at their team and see, okay, what can we do in this time? We have a lot of asks from the players. We have a lot of asks for things that we want to do in our own game because we want to see it happen, but there's just not time for everything. And while that may be disappointing to hear as a player, that doesn't mean that nothing is happening. It's just there's a lot of big initiatives that are going to take time. But what are those initiatives? I'm so glad you asked. The first one they go over is horses and retrofitting. We have actually confirmation about these spoilers that we saw about which breeds of horses are coming in 2025. They're all coming this year, and it's kind of insane, I'm not gonna lie. In the spoiler list, it listed Criollo, Hanoverian, Mule, Rocky Mountain, Andalusian, and Black Forest horse. Those are all the ones coming by the end of 2025. They did say that the dates on the spoilers were not correct. However, the horses themselves are. We do know that the mule is the next one to be worked on, and I'm curious to know if the order that she listed is the order that they're actually coming out, which is cool. I've also seen, in regards to this spoiler, questions why we're getting another Andalusian. Like, why are we redoing an Andalusian instead of getting another horse breed? Y'all, we voted for this. Just a reminder. We voted for this. Which is also really cool because they're reaching out to the community to see what we are looking for, and they are genuinely taking that into consideration. They go on to actually say that another survey will be coming out soon for the horses for 2026. So keep an eye out for that. That most likely will pop up in the launcher. So I'm glad to see that this is a precedent that they are going to be continuing with. And the first slightly disappointing piece of information from this article is retrofitting. Last we heard, they were working on a new system that should make it a lot easier to retrofit all of the horses, but it seems like there's been some complications. She confirms that when the system is finished, we can update all existing Generation 3 breeds to use it, but they will likely be doing it in batches. She also mentioned she'd like to see a blog post explaining this further, and I agree. This seems like one of the things that's going to have a soft deadline, so who knows when it'll actually happen, but hopefully a blog post can shed a little bit more light when it gets closer. The next section in the blog post is regarding the Trailblazer track. Overall, the Trailblazer track has been getting a positive reaction from the community, and they will be continuing throughout the year. Apparently, the system was originally built to be fast and simple, just to kind of gauge if we would interact with it, if we liked it. And now that they have a positive response, they can actually go in and make some changes and make some improvements on the back end. And from the article, since it's been successful, we now have ambitions for a feature that will require us to rebuild it to work better over time and support the improvements and additions we want to make. This isn't something we should see on our end, it's mostly back-end stuff. But they are calling this project a refractor project, which I didn't know what that meant, but apparently means rebuilding the system so it's stable, secure, and future-proof. A refactor means we are building something on the back end and there's typically no noticeable changes for the players. So while the Trailblazer tracks themselves are fixed deadline projects, this improvement is a soft deadline project. And given the nature, we probably won't see the changes anyway, but there might be signs. Alright, buckle up for this next section because we're talking about areas on the map. The article goes on to describe Jorvik as a theme park. So you have the different sections, like if you look at Magic Kingdom and Disney World, how each land has its own themed areas that have reasons for you to go to those lands after you visit them the first time. This is the approach that they are taking with Star Stable Online and Jorvik as a whole. The first area created with this approach was the Hollow Woods, with their Path of Magic system being what brings us in to keep returning to the Hollow Woods. And this next part is what got me giddy. Players often mention that they love areas such as Mistfall but have no regular reason to return there despite it being beautiful and fun the first time. We are concentrating on uplifting our areas and filling them with the experiences you're searching for. Please give me more Dundle reputation. Please give me more reason to go to Mistfall. Please give me more reason to go to Redwood Point and Wildwoods, because those areas are so beautiful. They have they could have so much lore, and they could be so exciting. They could have so many reasons to go back, and there's nothing. You can't even finish the Dundle reputation. So if we can actually get stuff in Dundle and maybe a ferry to make getting there even easier, I would probably die. Honestly, not to be dramatic, but I would be so freaking happy because it is one of the most beautiful areas of the map, rivaled now by Hollow Woods. But there's no reason to go there. I genuinely hope that this is something that they actually do. They also mentioned that with Silverglade Equestrian Center, they wanted to include progression activities like the Paths of Magic and Hollow Woods, but not exactly the same thing. I'm low-key hoping that it's not as involved as the Paths of Magic, just because I'm working through the Paths of Magic now on my side account, and it is brutal. Doing it the first time didn't feel that bad, but doing it the second time on a side account when I already have everything unlocked, I feel the difference. So I don't know if having two at the same time would be overwhelming. It seems like it would be for me. Maybe if it's less intense, maybe if it's more of a training regimen thing, where it's kind of like reputation for the medieval area factions, or maybe some sort of equestrian leaderboard that's not just the high scoreboards, but something bigger. I don't know. Well, I'm not the idea maker. We'll just see what they do. But they are basically, the point is that they are looking into doing updates to some of the areas to make them repeatable so that you can return to them and have more stuff to do. Because honestly, even the cool thing about the Paths of Magic is I've completed it on my main account and I still am collecting light. So there's still a reason for me to go to the Hollow Woods. Unlike the medieval area where I've completed all of the houses' reputations, I've already pledged to all of them and completed everything, so I have no reason to go back. This approach also makes me wonder if that's why they put the medieval arena, it's called something else now, medieval camp in Forgotten Fields, because that's now a new land that we're transitioning into. I'm curious if that was their idea, but it just didn't go over well with some of the community. Personally, it gives me a reason to go to the Forgotten Fields, because before then there was, just two races, one race and Maya's Daily. So there wasn't really a reason to go back, but now there is. So I don't really see the problem with with the medieval area being there. However, that might change because the next area is WoW. The work continues throughout the world, of course, with this year's focus area being one that hasn't been open for visit yet. The story and lore have been fleshed out, the theming explored, and potential gameplay initially envisioned. The actual project will happen later this year, although with a soft deadline, we can't precisely say when it's released. Since area improvements require so much time and so many team members at once, we have to plan them more spaced out and sometimes in multiple iterations, so each gets the time and attention they deserve. Now, the first time I read that, I was like, oh, cool, maybe Ashland, because that's an area we haven't gone to, but people have seen it and there's some lore developed there. Until I saw the picture. Do you see what's in the background there? That looks like Marching Gas Castle. And I don't know, it's obviously not confirmed. I feel like they would be cheeky and add a little bit of a hint just to get us a little excited. It could just be a picture, but it could also be a hint that Marching Gas is coming next. Obviously, can't confirm, but that's my suspicion, is that it's Marching Gas. Moving on to main story quests, they talk about how there were plans to release the next part of the main story quest at the end of last year. However, originally they mentioned that the quest wasn't turning out how they wanted it to turn out, and it seems this time we get a little bit more detail. Apparently, the project proved to be larger than expected, and it just simply needed more time. They have looked into what is needed to elevate the quest experience for this particular story, and it is in production, so it is being worked on. They've also confirmed that this section of the story will not end the current arc, but they are getting closer to getting to that point. After the current arc ends, they are hoping to begin the next chapter with the Soul Riders and the Dark Riders. So just because we are reaching the end of an arc does not mean it is the end of all story quests. They've got more stories to tell, so there will be more. Main story quests are one of those soft deadline projects, so it'll be ready when it's ready, essentially. They're focusing on the quality of the experience without a looming deadline to add pressure to the situation. They've also confirmed that they know that the main story is important to us and they want to do it justice. Now for a hard deadline project, festivals. It looks like we are getting a new / revamped festival this year. So they specifically mentioned that they will be working on Equestrian, Summer Days, Western, Halloween, and Winter. Summer Days is the new one in the bunch, and I'm guessing it's maybe a replacement for the Rainbow Festival. So if you don't recall, last summer we had a Rainbow Festival, however, it was more of an abridged version. They mentioned that Cloud Kingdom would not be returning because, well, I think the official reason was bugs. So it seems like we may not be returning to Cloud Kingdom again, but also we don't really have any information about what Summer Days even is. So I don't know if it's just a reworked name. I don't know if it was just they don't want to call it Rainbow Festival anymore. I'm hoping they do still have Pride elements because it would suck if they took it out of the game. But we'll just have to wait and see what Summer Days actually means. I'm going to read the rest of that section. Extra time will be allotted to ensure the project teams can evaluate what exists in each festival, particularly what needs to be improved. Some content doesn't meet our standards for quality, best practices, or development stability, or ease of reactivation, and I think that this is what the problem was with Cloud Kingdom that I was talking about. I've said it once and I'll say it again. Star Stable pays attention to what we interact with. They must have some sort of system that they can see what we're doing in the game and seeing which activities we are interacting with. They're not going to bring back the ones that we're not liking and not interacting with. So this could be some of the things that get edited out of festivals if we're not playing with them like they thought we would. The rest of the festival section talks about another refractor, which is about gameplay and activity. And this actually might excite people who really love the old Star Stable events. They're looking into gameplay that we've enjoyed in the past that got left by the wayside because the production teams never had time to work on them with the festival production schedule. This includes activities such as the Rainbow Chase, Easter egg hunt, or some version of a treasure hunt, wreath crafting, and etc. They're looking into what they need to do to fix or improve the content so it can be brought back for us to enjoy. Granted, while they are doing this research, it might not mean that everything will return, but they will at least investigate the possibilities. And this also includes activities that are currently in the game. I'm looking at you, Archery. And the final refractoring of this article is talking about equipment. This is another soft deadline project, but they are looking into how the game handles items, with the end goal being the possibility for additional tack and accessories and being able to wear multiple accessories at once. So being able to wear like earrings and glasses or mustaches and glasses. So that is another ongoing back-end change that will happen eventually. They also talk about how after items are released, they are still looking into them to see how they can improve. So they specifically mentioned for home stable customization, every time they have a new release, they are evaluating what's working and what's not. They have set aside time to work on improvements, but we don't really know what they are improving upon quite yet. They also mentioned that there are a bunch more behind the scenes projects going on that are not things that we necessarily see. Things like improving game performance, keeping the engine, tools, and game in general up to date, and rehabbing the foundation of the game so that new stuff and features can come out in the future. Also, obviously, bug fixes are constantly happening, even if they don't mention it on social media. The bug fix log does update regularly, and they tell you the date at the top of the last time it's been updated. So you can always regularly check the bug fix log for the most up-to-date bug fixes. And that takes us to the wrap-up. It's all about prioritizing what the projects are and managing the amount of hard deadline versus soft deadline projects. This is all about keeping the team happy and keeping the game healthy as well. One additional thing that was kind of snuck in there at the end that I just thought was funny to mention, they have more long-term goals that are not for this year, but are things in the back of their mind that are on the list. They specifically mentioned an updated map and quest log, but they don't want to do too much too soon. Again, this is why prioritizing is really important when it comes to making new things for the game. I just thought it was funny because I literally just mentioned last week how the game map needs to be updated. I know we're all thinking it. Now, believe it or not, that was actually only half of the blog post, but that's pretty much all I was really wanting to talk about. The last section talks about the development of the Hanoverians, as well as how they made their animations and what the behind-the-scenes process was for that. So if you would love to know the back end specifically about the Hanoverians, definitely go check out the rest of the article. This will all be linked in the description of this video. I was just really excited about the future of the game, and I just needed to talk about it, to be honest. If you look on social media, if you look on Reddit, if you look on Instagram, you'll see a lot of comments asking why there's no content in the game and why we haven't gotten any quests. I'm hoping that this article actually answers some of those questions. It's not that we're not getting them, it's that there's a lot going on behind the scenes and they need to prioritize the work. They can't just push all of their developers into crunch so that we get something every Wednesday. Getting anything every Wednesday, to be honest, is kind of a feat. It's amazing that they've gone this long with weekly updates. But because there are so many huge initiatives all in progress, we can't get big updates every week because they're all being worked on. So this does mean we're going to have a lot of lighter weeks in between large game developments. And I think the thing that can be frustrating, especially if it's read by the development team, is when these large updates do come out, a lot of them are quality of life. So we know, like, behind the scenes, there's a lot of inventory stuff being worked on. When that eventually comes out, there's going to be people saying, what, that was the update? Getting to wear glasses and earrings together? That was the update? Ear bonnets? Meanwhile, they have no idea how much work actually went into that being the end product. So we might see ear bonnets being a small thing, but there's a mountain of work behind that had to be worked on throughout the year. And it doesn't help when half the year is filled with hard deadline event updates. Don't get me wrong, I love the event updates. Please keep doing the event updates. I really, really, really love the events. They're my favorite part of this game. But obviously, if they have an event coming up, they're not going to be working on story quests, or at least that part of the team won't be working on the story quests. And that's kind of, again, what it comes down to: prioritization. If there's a hard deadline project where maybe the game developers are busy, but the UI developers are ready to work on the next project, they have to wait for the game developers to be ready. There are multiple teams working on multiple different things, and they have to still line up around the hard deadline and the soft deadline priorities. And that's tricky business. Anyway, I just wanted to share all that. I'm so excited about where this game is going. I know that there's kind of like, a little bit of turmoil going on. There's definitely people who are way more critical than I am about this game. I just honestly don't have the energy to do that. So if that's why I come off as like overly positive, it's just because I genuinely love this game and I just want to see it get better. I'm excited, what can I say? Anyways, that is going to be it for this video. If you enjoyed it, make sure to leave a like, subscribe, and turn on the notification bell so you never miss another video like this. I do try to cover every Wednesday update and more. Let me know what you're most excited to see come to Star Stable this year. I genuinely could not pick. I'm really excited about all my horses being able to wear all of the tack, though I don't know if that is going to happen this year. The thing with soft deadline projects is there is no deadline. So if they take longer than a year, they're going to take longer than a year. So while they're talking about it this year, it's not a guarantee that we're going to be seeing it this year. I just really want all my horses to wear the pretty tack, because the halflinger can't wear all of the tack. They can wear most of it, but I don't think the special leg wraps, I don't think they can wear. Oh, that's what I'm most excited for. Summer Days. I want to know more about that. I want to know more about Summer Days. I want to know more about if Marching S is being released. There's just so much good stuff in this article, and I'm very excited for this year. So basically all of it, but let me know what you think, and I will see you all in the next video. Bye!